Okay, I hope everyone could see this screen. So welcome to the online video lecture. So for the subject electrical machines 2. So as per the schedule, today we are going to discuss about the principle of operation, that is for three-phase induction motor. So in the stator part, either the winding may be star connected or delta connected. So as soon as the three-phase supply is given to that, so there exists the currents, phase currents IR, IY and IB, which are displaced at 120 degrees each. And for this, the flux developed is phi R, phi Y and phi B. So this is the input waveform, which is fed to the three-phase induction motor stator winding. Okay. So these are the fluxes developed, and it follows the input waveform, so which is of sinusoidal. Okay. So for this, what are the equations? So phi R is phi m sin omega t, phi Y is phi m sin of omega t minus 120, phi B equal to phi m of sin of omega t minus 240. Okay. So now we have to check for different positions, that is for angle 0, for angle 60, for angle 120, 240, 300, 360, likewise. So what is the resultant flux developed? Okay, so phi r is phi m sin of omega. So these are the three equations. So from this rotating magnetic field, we must know, so what is the resultant flux and how it appears, and so what is the value? So is there any specific change in the flux, resultant flux developed for different positions or not? We need to check it out. So look at this point. Although the vector sum of three currents in a balanced three-phase system is 0, so that means, so for three phases, that is for R phase, Y phase, and B phase, the resultant current is 0 as per the KCL. But the resultant flux developed is not 0, and it have a constant value for different particular positions. Okay, so we need to check it out. So that is the main objective of this rotating magnetic field. So let us check for the first position. So first position in the sense, so this is the first position, that angle 0. So substitute omega t equal to 0, and we need to find out what is the value there. Phi r is 0, phi y is minus root 3 by 2 into phi m, phi b is root 3 by 2 into phi m. So after substituting omega t equal to 0, so these are the values. So earlier we have seen, so phi r, phi y, phi b, so these are displaced at 120 degrees angle each, and for this opposite vectors are drawn. So phi y equal to minus means, so minus in the sense it is opposite the opposite flux. So why this negative polarity appears means based upon the current direction. So that is either in inward direction or outward direction. So if the current is negative means whatever the direction we have taken, it is opposite to that. So that indicates the negative polarity. So similarly for phi b, here it is positive. Okay. So from this, we need to find out the resultant flux developed from these three individual phases. So as per the parallelogram law of vector, so two vectors having the same magnitude, then the resultant vector is 2 into magnitude of the vector into cos alpha by 2. So alpha in the sense, what is the angle between the two vectors? So the angle between these two vectors, minus phi y and phi b, is 60 degrees. So in the last class we have drawn the diagram. So the resultant is 3 by 2 into phi m. So that is 1.5 into phi m. So this, for this I have given the proof also. So similarly, for at omega t equals 60 degrees also, we have seen the same two vectors, that is phi r and phi y. So here it is root 3 by 2 phi m minus root 3 by 2 into phi m. So the resultant vector lies between phi r and minus phi y. So the value is same here also. See, so it is rotating in the clockwise direction. So this is the stator rotating magnetic field. So from this, what we are going to find out, the resultant flux at any particular position, I mean at any particular angle. So the flux developed is same. There exists a constant flux, that is 1.5 into phi m, where phi m means maximum flux. Okay. So likewise, if we substitute for, see, look at here. So this is for omega t equal to 0 degrees, and this is for 60 degrees. So this is the position, and for omega t equal to 120 degrees. So this is the position there. So likewise, there is a clockwise rotation of the flux developed in the stator winding. Okay, so this is called the concept of rotating magnetic field here. So either it may be of star connection or delta connection. We look at this diagram. So two poles of single phase each one. So look at the left hand side diagram, A and A dash or A. So this is a pair of a pole pair. Sorry, a pole pair. Okay. Next B dash. So this is an another pole pair. C dash. This is an another pole pair. So like if we see from the front view, it look like a 6-pole machine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But actually it is a 2-pole winding machine. Okay. So each phase has a pair. So the totally, suppose if consider at position A, if the current is entering and it is leading to the A dash, then it appears like a north pole and here it is a south pole. So similarly for Y phase or consider it as B phase. So here the red color indicates the entry indicates the current inward direction and it leads to the uh, another B dash. So it acts as a south pole. So these are nothing but the electromagnetic poles. So here there are no any physical magnets or permanent magnets there. So because of the electricity, we have created a it appears to be a virtual magnets. Okay. So all these secondary parts are connected to the neutral if it is a star winding. Otherwise, it is a delta connected. Okay. So later I'll show you how it appears. So this from this rotating magnetic field, so we have concluded that the flux developed at any particular position is same. So the resultant flux is constant. So that's about the rotating magnetic field. And one more point also we have discussed. 1 second. And the synchronous speed. Sorry. So what is the revolution? How it revolves? So see, look at the diagrams at an instant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions. So this will revolve at a speed of synchronous speed. So it is denoted by ns, 120 f by p, where f represents the fundamental frequency and p represents the pole. Okay, so these are the reference links for the rotating magnetic field. So we have a very clear idea about this. So coming to this slip ring induction rotor, see this look, this is an additional concept which we haven't discussed in the classroom, and because it will have some more information, and it is very useful, I think so. So I have included this topic from the reference textbook. So consider this ladder diagram. It appears to be so. This is a portion of the squirrel cage rotor. So in order to explain the working principle, so better we can start with this squirrel cage rotor. So this is a ladder diagram. So it appears to be a ladder, but it is a series. It consists of a series of conductors here. All the series of conductors are ended by its end rings. So here it is an end ring. So it appears to be as a bars, that is A and B. Okay. So all these extremities are ended by short circuit bars, that is A and B. So the rotor conductors are having a length of L. So here it is indicated a rotor conductor. So all these bars are the rotor conductors. Consider it as a rotor conductors. It has a length L. Okay. So the extremities are, I mean, the end rings are A and B, and a permanent magnet here we have chosen. So this is the permanent magnet. So it appears to be a north pole. So suppose if we move this permanent magnet and keep this table of this ladder, then the flux will be cut by this conductor. So this conductor is linked with a varying magnetic field. Suppose if you are moving this magnetic bar. So I repeat once again, listen carefully. So this ladder, which is appears to be the squirrel gauge, a portion of the squirrel gauge, it is kept to be constant. And this permanent magnet is started moving towards the right side. So where we have seen the force, you can see the direction of the force with a speed of v. Okay. So whenever this magnet is moved towards the direction of the force, this varying magnetic field is cut by the conductor. So as per the Faraday's law, so what does it mean? So when a varying magnetic field is cut by the conductor, an EMF is induced in it. And what is the magnitude of that EMF? E equal to BLV. So what is where B is the flux and L is the length of the conductor and V is the speed. Okay. So okay, fine. So up to that it is okay. Then what about the force? Actually, in an induction motor, we doesn't require any EMF induced in the secondary, that is the rotor side. But we need to focus on the force developed, how this force is developed there. Okay, so up to here it is okay for you, I think, right? Okay, so once again, I'm discussing that we are moving the permanent magnet and we are keeping the stable, we are placing the ladder in stable position. So there an EMF is developed in the conductor, and that EMF I can call it as E equal to BLV as per the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Next, also there exists the Lorentz force. So whenever, because these conductors are shorted here, since the rotor circuit is closed, there exists the current. So unless the rotor circuit is open, there will not flow any current, but only there exists an EMF. So whenever the rotor circuit is closed there exists the current flow in the circuit. So obviously what happens there, when the rotor circuit, rotor in the sense here, the ladder. So when it draws the current, so what happens there, it also produces the flux. Okay, so this flux follows the magnetic field which is generated from stator, that is the permanent magnets. I repeat once again. So actually here from the permanent magnet, consider it as a stator, it is producing a magnetic field. Okay, so soon after reaching the as per the magnetic induction, so in the rotor circuit there exists the EMF. So when the circuit is closed here, it allows the current. So soon after the rotor circuit allows the current, there exists the flux. So this rotor flux tries to follow the permanent magnet flux, that is the stator flux. So if these both travel at the same time without any deviation, or it exactly follows, then there is no force developed there. Definitely there should be some minimum difference between the stator flux and the magnetic field flux revolving speed. Okay. So 1 second. Okay. So look at these points. So a voltage developed E equal to BLV is induced in each conductor while it is being cut by the flux. So as per the Faraday's law. So here I'm giving the justification. So a voltage E equal to, so where it is developed, it is in the stator, rotor part. Okay, it is induced in each conductor. So since we have seen the rotor bars here, so you see these are the rotor bars. So look at the second diagram. So these are all the rotor bars, squirrel cage rotor. So it is induced by the conductor. EMF is induced in the conductor while it is being cut by the flux. So why the flux is cut by this rotor? Because in the stator, see, look at this. So here, so in the stator, there is a rotating magnetic field here. So we can say that as it is continuously varying. The flux here, it is rotating. So that means it is a varying magnetic field here. So that is linked with the rotor. So this rotor. Okay. So obviously, as per the Faraday's law, there exists the electromagnetic induction. So the EMF induced here is BLV. Next, look at the second one. So the induced voltage immediately produces a current I. So when it produces a current I, when the circuit is closed, obviously the circuit is closed because there exists the end rings. Because of this end rings, the circuit is closed. Here it is shorted. Okay, so the current I flows, which flows down the current underneath. So underneath in the sense downward, the pole face through the end bars and back through the other conductors. Okay, so what does it mean? Which flows down the conductor, down underneath, that means below the pole face through each end bars and back through the other conductors. So what does it mean? So see, if you look at the direction here, we have seen. So it is flowing through in this direction. Consider as an example here. So it is in this direction and starts leaving there. Okay. So likewise, it is entering to each and every rotor bars there. Okay. So that actually it indicates. So next, because the current carrying conductor lies in the magnetic field of the permanent magnet, it experiences a mechanical force. So this is actually which we needed in this induction motor. So here exists the point force. So that force we require. How it is developed, we will see. So because the current carrying conductor lies in the magnetic field. So what is the motor rule there? Whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in the magnetic field, a force is experienced on the conductor. Okay. So unless and until the rotor circuit is closed there does not exist any current. If there is no current in the rotor circuit, so the rotor never rotates. It remains in a stable position because the current, the conductor is closed there. It draws the current. So soon after it draws the current. So what happens there? So the flux is developed because N into I. So soon after the rotor is producing a flux, which is also a rotating magnetic field, then a force is experienced on the conductor and it tries to follow the stator magnetic field. Okay. So if you want to know the directions, you can see here as per the Lorentz force here. So where thumb finger indicates the force, here forefinger gives the magnetic field and the middle finger gives the direction of the current. Okay, so from this we can find out so what is the current direction, how it is opposing the so how it rotates. So what is the force developed in the conductor? So they please mute yourself. Okay. So look at the fourth point. The force always acts in a direction to drag the conductor along with the magnetic field. So the force which always acts in a direction to drag the conductor along with the magnetic field. Magnetic field here and means it is in the stator side. Okay, stator here in the sense this is the permanent magnet. Okay, so the only comparison that here we are using a permanent magnet, but in case of the machine, their stator is considered as an electromagnets. Okay, so here the magnetic field is fixed here, there it is variable, it can be variable. Okay, and they produce a rotating magnetic field. So just for our analysis purpose only, we are using this ladder concept. Okay, moving magnet cutting across a conducting ladder. Okay, so from this we can analyze so how the stator rotating magnetic field is causing a force in the rotor conductors. Okay, so and the drawback is that in the squirrel cage, it always has a less tendency to follow the stator magnetic field. So that is the reason why it has a low starting torque for this squirrel cage rotor. Okay, so these are the important points in this working principle of the induction motor. So look at this continuation of this. If the conducting ladder is free to move, so earlier what we have discussed here, this ladder is kept stable and it is moving. Suppose if we are moving this ladder also, okay. So coming to the practical experience, so look at this 1 second. See, suppose here it is rotating magnetic field is developed here, no issue with that. Soon after the rotor starts producing the flux, it also develops a rotating magnetic field. Okay, so it tries to follow the path of the stator magnetic field. If these two magnetic follow the same speed, that is a synchronous speed. So earlier we have seen the stator rotating magnetic field revolves at a speed of synchronous speed. If the rotor also reaches the synchronous speed, then there is no rotation for this rotor. It remains in locking position, or remains in stable position. The rotor never rotates. So definitely there should be some difference between the revolution speed, difference between the revolution of this rotor and stator magnetic fields. So what I mean to say is there should be a difference. So that difference I can call it as a slip. Okay. So come back to the point. So if the conducting ladder is free to move, so that means the rotor starts rotating, it will accelerate towards the right. Okay, so towards the clockwise. However, as it picks up the speed, the conductors will be cut less rapidly by the moving magnet, with the resultant that induced voltage E and the current I will diminish. Okay, so what does it mean? So soon after the rotor starts rotating, that means here we are moving this ladder also along with the permanent magnet. Then the conductors cut less rapidly by the moving magnet. So because if they both are, suppose if two objects are moving at the same time, the amount of flux cut will be less. So that is the exact point where if the two objects are moving at the same instant or same time period, then the amount of magnetic flux linkage is, I mean the magnetic flux cut by the conductor will be less. So that for that what will happen? It results in reduced EMF induced and the reduced current. So diminish in the sense less. So that happens. So that is the reason why there is a low starting torque. So consequently, the force acting on the conductors will also decrease. So obviously the speed is also getting reduced because the current carrying conductor has the less magnetic lines of force which are linking. So obviously the speed is also getting reduced. If the ladder were to remove, if the ladder were to move at the same speed as the magnetic field, the induced EMF E and the current I and the force dragging the ladder along will all be zero. So that is called the magnetic locking. Okay. So this is the R phase. Here it starts entering. So entering in the sense it is a dot position. So it gives, say, for example, here. So look at this diagram. So consider it as a north pole and south pole. It is considered as an electromagnet, not a permanent magnet. So if the current is leaving there, okay, so it considered as a north pole, and wherever it is start entering, it is considered as a south pole. Okay, this is how the magnetic field is developed from north to south in an electromagnets. Okay, so coming to here, so likewise here it acts as a north pole, and here it acts as a south pole, right? So similarly for the Y phase, so here it acts as a north, and here it acts as a south. So here the dotted line represents that internally it is connected, but the layers may be different. Okay, so as we have seen in the other diagrams, you can see here. So this all can act as one north pole. So this may be a multi layers. Okay, so I think you have learned in the EM1, right? So this is the stator side, and here it develops the rotating magnetic field. Okay. Okay, so this is from here we are going to discuss what we have discussed in the class. So this I have given in your classroom. So up to now these are the additional information which I haven't given in your classroom. Okay, from here all these points you have written in your classroom. Okay, so I will read it out once again. In a DC motor, supply is needed to be given for the stator winding as well as the rotor winding. But whereas in an induction motor, only the stator winding is fed with an AC supply. So soon after this AC supply is given, it produces this alternating flux revolves with synchronous speed, and this revolving flux is called rotating magnetic field. So up to now we have seen what is rotating magnetic field there. The relative speed between the stator RMF and the rotor conductors causes an induced EMF in the rotor conductors according to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so what does it mean? So when a conductor is cut by a varying magnetic field, an EMF is developed. The rotor conductors are short circuited, and hence rotor current is produced due to the induced EMF. So when the circuit is closed there, so short circuited. So that means the short circuit means obviously there exists the current. That is why such motors are called as an induction motors, which is also called as a rotating transformers. Okay, so now the induced EMF, now the induced current in rotor will also produce alternating flux around it. This rotor flux lags behind the stator flux. Definitely it has to lag, otherwise there may be a chance of magnetic locking. So there exists the concept of slip. And one more thing, so if there is a gap between the stator and the rotor, so usually it may be from 0.4 mm to 4 mm as per the requirement of the HP based upon their horsepower levels. So this gap may vary. Okay, but definitely there should be a lagging between the rotor flux and stator flux. The direction of induced rotor current according to Lenz's law. Okay, okay, right. So is such a way that it will tend to oppose the cause of its production. Okay, so as we have seen, as per the left hand rule, so what is the direction of the force developed in the rotor conductor? So definitely it opposes. Okay, so based on that, it starts rotating in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, but the stator magnetic field, which is of rotating, it is in clockwise direction. So remind that as the cause of production of rotor current is the relative velocity between the stator rotating flux and the rotor will try to catch up with the stator RMS. So what does it mean? So the rotor tries to reach the stator magnetic field continuously. It is called a hunting process. Okay. Thus the rotor rotates in the same direction as that of stator flux to minimize the relative velocity. So, however, the rotor never succeeds in catching up the synchronous speed, and this is the basic working principle of an induction motor. And the speed denoted by 120 F by P. Okay, this slip concept we'll discuss tomorrow, and you can see here. Okay, you can see here at position 1 how it starts rotating. This is the stator magnetic field, and how the flux is developed in it. This is completely the stator part. So these are the different positions at position 1, at point 2, point 3, point 1 in the sense 0, 60, 120, 240, sorry, 180, 240, 300, 360 degrees. So complete for 360 degrees, how the flux starts rotating. So continuously it is in, how the direction appears to be, it is in clockwise direction. Okay. So look at this diagram. So stator, how the three-phase windings are placed here. Look at this. So this is the set of windings. So consider this is a phase. Green color is one phase, and orange color represents another phase. Just only two phases I have seen here. This is the cut view of the stator. See here from this second diagram, B diagram, you can see here. So blue color is one set of light green color, it is a phase 1, red color phase 2, and this is phase 3. Likewise, they are going to place the windings in the stator. Okay. Okay, so up to now here any doubts? So there ends the working principle of induction motor. Since time is there, still half an hour is there, we can discuss beyond the syllabus also, no issue with that. So or if you want to raise any doubt, you can post a message here. Just for 2 minutes, we will see all the chat messages. Okay, no doubts. Okay, fine. Okay, so no doubts. We'll back to the topic. Let us see one more presentation. This I have gone through the internet. So very nice presentation here. See. So this is a squirrel cage rotor here, and 3-phase slip ring induction motor. So let us start from here. I hope you could see the screen. Okay. All right. So this is the winding or rotor arrangements for the 3-phase induction machine. So this is a squirrel cage type, and this is the slip ring induction rotor. So either star connected or delta connected in the stator side. So this is the slip ring induction rotor, how the circuit diagrams appears to be. So you can see the red color highlighted points, expensive to manufacture, and it is vulnerable to overheat. Vulnerable in the sense it is somewhat dangerous, or it may cause any damage to the system because of its overheat. So I think we have in the missions lab also, we could see if we continuously keep on wearing the resistor which is connected to the generator side, so that exhibits some heat if you are running for a long time. So that is an additional disadvantage. We need to provide some heat sinks again for that. So next, what is another point? But we can control the starting torque and running characteristics. When we are going to discuss the characteristics, we can come into more information. So look at this induced voltage generation. So as per the Faraday's law, voltage is induced in a conductor that moves perpendicular to magnetic field, and the magnitude is E equal to BLV. So the voltage induced in a conductor moving through a magnetic field. So this is the basic concept there. So motor force generation. So how the I think you are familiar about the magnetomotive force, right? So if you are providing any supply for a conductor, uh, I mean, if a electrical supplies, if a voltage is given to the conductor, it draws the current. Obviously, flux is developed. But whereas if a magnetic field, if a magnetic circuit is there, and we are going to generate a magnetic field, then it causes a magnetomotive force. So that is the difference between the electromagnetic field and electromagnetic force and magnetomotive force. Okay. The interaction between the magnetic field B and the current generates F equal to BLI. So F equal to BIL. So that is a usual term we are going to define F equal to BIL. Suppose one more thing. If you want to know at particular angle what is the EMF induced there, then we can call it when we can write the equation as E equal to BLV sine theta. Okay, so at particular angle, what is the EMF induced? Because the sine, it is a sinusoidal. So continuously the EMF is also varying. So at each position, what is the magnitude also we can find it out by using the equation E equal to BLV sine theta. Okay, so rotating field concept already we have discussed. So nothing more in that. See, you can see the diagrams here, circles in cross color, cross indication and dot indication. So dot indicates that current is leaving there. Sorry, yes, current is entering, and cross represents it is leaving. Okay, so north pole gives the dot points and the south pole gives the cross point. Okay, next operation principle. The three fluxes generated by the phase windings are separated by 120 degrees, as you have seen, and it is a time for a two-pole motor. The total flux in the machine is the sum of the three fluxes, and the summation of these three AC fluxes results in rotating flux, which turns the constant speed and has a constant amplitude. The rotating flux induces a voltage in short-circuited bars of the rotor. This voltage drives current through the bars. So the interaction of the rotating flux and the rotor current generates a force that drives the motor. So that is the force developed here. The force is proportional with the flux density B and the rotor bar current I. So, the voltage and current generation in the rotor bar require a speed difference between the rotor field and rotor. So this is the important point there. The voltage and current generation in the rotor bar. See, obviously the voltage is generated irrespective of the rotor circuits closed or not. But when the rotor bars are short circuited, then the current generation will be there, and it produces a flux. Because of this, a force is developed, and that speed, whatever the speed it has, it should be it should have some difference between the stator magnetic field. Okay. So consequently, the rotor speed is always less than the magnetic field, that is the stator magnetic field. Okay. So the speed of the rotating field is ns equal to 120 f by p, which is also called the synchronous speed. And the rotor speed, it can be denoted in as per our convenience. So consider it as nr, also no issue with that. So slip is given as ns minus nm. So finally, the slip can be defined as difference between the stator magnetic field, rotating magnetic field, and rotor rotating magnetic field to the stator rotating magnetic field. Okay. So the frequency of the rotor equal to, so Fr. So one more point is that, so the rotor also starts rotating and it has some current. So it also has some flux. So what is the flux frequency? What is the frequency of that flux? It is also similar to the stator magnetic field, but because of its internal resistance and the direction of the current, the frequency may differ. Okay, the frequency of the rotor cannot be equal to the frequency of the stator. So frequency of the stator in the sense it is the supply frequency. But coming to the rotor frequency, it is different. Okay, so never confuse. Fundamental frequency is equal to the stator frequency. So because the stator is given the input supply, but the rotor frequency will be differ. Okay, so this slip we can discuss in the next class. Up to now, any doubts here? Just 2 more minutes. We'll close the session. I mean, we'll close the explanation. Any doubts up to now? You can post a message. Any doubts? Only few people are responding. Okay, right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this is the. I would like to share the screen. This is the textbook I have referred today for this explanation. So 1 second. So this is the textbook, Electrical Machines, Drives and Power Systems by Theodore Wildy. So this is the textbook. So let us see the topic. So here, this is the topic, principle of operation, and these are the constructional view details. This is the squirrel gauge rotor, and these are the points all we have discussed up to now. So all these are out of your syllabus. No need to worry about this. Just we are having some more information since we are in online class. So it will be quite useful for us if we are learning more about this information beyond the class. So these are the constructional details. Squirrel slip ring rotor. Here you can observe the slip rings here. So on the terminal box. So these are the phases. Okay, and this is the provision for cooling fan. So here. So this is the slip ring induction rotor. So these are the slip rings here. These are the bearings for supporting the shaft. Okay. So these are the rotor slots here. So this is the concept. So even NPTEL have gone through it. They have also followed the same textbook. So the same concept they have considered. So that is from Professor Das. He is from IIT. So he also have preferred the same textbook. So it is somewhat very useful for us. I hope you will also try this. So here you can see the rotor position, sorry, stator magnetic field position, how it rotates at for different input supply, sorry, for different angular positions. So for 0, 60, 120, 180, likewise. So how the stator rotating magnetic field, you can see the arrow indication. Here you can see how the direction of the flux linking with the coil, okay, from A to A. So how it is rotating here. So it is in clockwise direction there. You can see for phase A, for position 1 and 2. For position 3 and 4, you can see phase B. For position 5 and 6, you can see the phase C there, C dash. And again, position 7, you can see the A. So likewise, the cycle continues. So look at this diagram also. So this is the stator. See, the main thing you have to observe here is the neutral connection. So all the phases, that means for phase 1, they will be having 2 poles here. For phase 2, another 2 poles, and phase 3, another 2 poles. All the secondaries are connected to the neutral. So there exists, I think, triple L, triple LG. Okay. Likewise, there will be neutral connection, neutral grounded or neutral ungrounded. So that is also important when there is a concept of fault analysis. Okay. That is at present we no need to discuss about the fault analysis. So this is the direction of the rotor. Okay, soon. Sai Prasanna, I'll send you the material. So meanwhile, just listen. I'll send you definitely. Thank you. Okay. So look at this figure at instant 3. Okay. So how it is rotating. So from this you can say that it is in clockwise direction. but the rotor rotates in anti-clockwise. Remind that based upon the force developed. So like this, a rotating magnetic field. You can see the dotted lines there. So how from one pole to another? It is not a six-pole machine. Okay, please consider that it is a two-pole machine. For each phase, we have two poles. One is entering, another is leaving. So that's why it is a two-pole machine. So the synchronous speed is 120 into F50 by 2. What happens here? 3000 RPM. If the pole has 4, then it comes under 1500 RPM. Okay, likewise. So that also differs as per the HP rating. Okay. So here you can see the flux linking and how it starts rotating.